Hello, I'm David Vos, and it's a beautiful day. It was a little chilly this morning. I guess we're going to have just a tad more winter, but summer's coming. Well, I want to continue on today in that series that we've been doing on astrology and the chakras. Oh, where to begin today? I think today I'm going to tell you some things that, like we've said before, blow your mind. There's a lot of misinformation. I tell you this every time we talk, but it's going to blow your mind. You've got to be very careful where you get your information. And nobody knows where to get information, okay? But this is a lost art. It's a lost science. And I guarantee that just about, it's lost. See, this knowledge was done away. It was, the Catholic Church didn't just murder millions of people and then leave the manuscripts behind somewhere and all the information. They burned the entire libraries anywhere they could be found down to the ground. They took the Jesuit priests and searched out any clues, or if somebody said, oh, we think we found some people that are harboring some ancient mysteries and they're harboring some ancient truths, or somebody knows something about it, they murdered them, they burned those books, they confiscated them. It's gone. All we have is the ancient writings that remain, that are in mysterious writing and symbology. What remains of this ancient art has come down to us in little bits and pieces, such as the dice, a deck of cards, which used to be tarot, and that was only a modern system in its day of more ancient systems that in the Bible we call Urim and Thummim, the ephod and the breastplate, the 12 stones, and you'd roll 2 stones and they did a certain thing in a jog, and there was all this numerology and numbers and astrological signs and the clock, and it was a science. It was everyday science. It was a calendar for when the seasons would come and go, for the elemental chart. Oh boy, we're going to get into some of the elements and the minerals. But you've heard a lot of misinformation, friends. There are a couple of people today, and as far as I know, there are only a couple of people in the world today that is teaching this ancient science. And they're teaching pieces of it. And there are a lot of people that are looking for this information and just gobbling this up no matter where it comes from. You've got New Age groups that are teaching bits and pieces, but so much of it is based on some phony information that's been drummed up in the last 100 years, such as yoga, and we talked about that. You've got groups like Jehovah's Witnesses. Remember, they came out with a magazine, not just the Watchtower, but originally their magazine was called The Golden Dawn. See, now it's called The Awake. But this Golden Dawn, see, they were very highly... Charles Taze Russell came out of the occult. And as I've said before, the occult is not bad. That means the hidden. He was involved in this, but we don't know for certain if he had any real knowledge of what was going on. But by the time Charles Taze Russell came out, most of this information had been lost. So he was pretty much going in the dark and trying to find some mysteries. He was a student. He never claimed to be a prophet, really. I think in his old age, he started getting a little pride, and people started calling him the man with the writer's inkhorn or something. And this is what happens to people that start stumbling onto truth, and they begin to think, well, now, let's see. Since I'm teaching all this amazing truth and people are looking up to me, I must be a prophet. We talked about Elizabeth Clare Prophet and certain individuals that make some staggering claims. Elizabeth Clare Prophet claiming to be one of the two witnesses and so forth. When you hear something like that, stop. Step back and understand that you're... A friend of mine told me years ago, a man I met in Idaho, him and I were just working together, and we got to talking. He was a very, very wise man. And he told me finding this information is kind of like digging through a dump. A filthy, nasty dump. But you know there's diamonds in there. You find garbage and trash, you throw it over your shoulder and you go forward. This is a dump site, all right? But down under this dump, we're going to find some antiques, some ancient truths. And so, you see, you've got to be careful. Now, a couple of these people that are, and I'm not going to mention any names because most of these people are sincere students of the truth. But I just want to caution everybody who is learning all about this from certain individuals and thinking they know everything, because there's a certain teaching going out right now about the cell salts. And the teaching goes that there are certain cell salts or minerals that correspond to each of the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 astrological signs. And if you're born in February or March or, Aries or Capricorn or whatever, you have a particular cell salt, and you're probably deficient in that. And that's not true. I'm not saying that it's not possible that certain people in a certain sign may be slightly more needy of something or other, but it's very minutely so, if it's true. Because, remember, we're all a whole. Every individual is a whole. The Adam Kadmon, and this is even spoken of in the Bible, the heavenly man, the heavenly Adam, and the earthly Adam. The earthly Adam is a man. You and I are all in Adam. But there's a heavenly man, and this is the Christ. And we're all made in its image. You see, the universe is this entity, this whole. And we're literally the exact image of the whole. So we are a small atom. There's the Adam Kadmon, and we're the small atom. And so there's the macrocosm and the microcosm. And it goes infinity. I mean, inside of us, we have little cells that are all duplicates, and they all have a little DNA, and they have everything that can be known about you is in your DNA. So there's a little image of you in every cell. And and you're just a little image of our Father in heaven. So everybody then has the 7 chakras. And those 7 chakras correspond to the 7 planets. And it's the 7 planets that would represent the minerals. The 12 signs are houses. A lot of people really don't understand what these houses are. And we're not going to go deeply into that. We've got so many things to cover. And each video will get into one thing or another. In this presentation that I'm going to do today, I want to talk about the minerals. Because you are not being told something. Let me tell you something. I know I'm going to make a statement, and a lot of you can just probably click off. This man's crazy. Holy moly, just turn it off. Oh, I hope you don't, because I'm telling you, if you'll stay with me over the series, you're going to be certain that what I'm about to tell you is true. People only live 70 or 80 years because of something that they've been lied to about. And I'm going to give you an answer today that if you will listen to me, and there's more to it than just what I'm going to tell you today, because this isn't the 100% all of it, but you can virtually live forever, for hundreds of years, if you'll listen to this video. And you can cure any disease, and, we're going to cleanse our chakras. And we're going to talk about this on a very literal, in a specific way today. You see, because these salts, these minerals, there's a big misunderstanding. This cell salt and the 12 cell salts got started by I think it was Inez Perry or something, a book that was written I've never read it, but I basically just looked at it and found and saw the errors in it immediately. There's no point in reading it because it's completely an error. And so this is the only place that you're getting this information, is this particular man who wrote a book, and then another person who wrote a book about that man a few years later, and now a couple of people that are teaching these 12 cell salt things. Okay, let me just tell you right off the bat why it's not true. So you don't even have to, because all the way through the video, you're going to think, wait a minute now, how do we know it's not true, and stuff? Well, let me just tell you right off the bat why exactly, just at least in one spot where we can identify that this is complete falsehood, and that if you actually do take these minerals that they're talking about, it's not going to be good for you. Let alone that each person of each sign has a different mineral or something that we're supposed to take into our body. Remember, we're a whole, so everybody needs each mineral for each 7 chakras. We need this in balance. And everybody eats the same food. And the only way you can take anything into your mouth, the only way you can get a balance of salts, or salts means sal in Latin, sal, S-A-L. That's sun. That's the sun. Okay, sal in Greek is hal. This is where we get the halo. This is where we get hello, salutations, salt, salvation, salivary glands. All of these words are the same word. What does it mean? Does it mean sodium chloride? No. The word means the sun. It means all the minerals. And so, remember, the first of the minerals is helium. Well, yeah, helium, hydrogen, lithium. Helium, that's the word halo, hela, and it's also where we get the word helios in Greek for the sun. And it's also where we get the word El for God. And so El, helios, sol, soul, all the words for sun come from different languages. And so this is why they have a slightly different pronunciation and so forth. But this is the chief of all the elements, helium, and it goes all the way down to the metals, the hard metals. And so there's not just 12, but there's 100 of them, more than 100. And some of them you don't want to take. You don't want them in your body. Well, then how would you know which ones to take? No human can know all of this. 100 different elements, and just exactly how many milligrams and all this. This is insanity. These scientists think they're God. They're going to tell you, go into a laboratory and I'm a little of this, and a little hydrochloride, and a little of this, and put some calcium and all this, and we're going to make some food, right? Heal ourselves. No, it's a lie. Only our Father in heaven knows what we should put in our mouth, and He's already provided for us in the form of fruit. And that means anything that grows on a plant. Nuts, fruit, berries, all the seeds that grows on a plant. Now, roots don't grow on a plant, they are the plant. And we're going to talk about that more in this video, that we don't eat roots and leaves. And, of course, roots and leaves have poisons in them because they're in contact with the soil, and the soil has things in there that we don't eat dirt, friends. And so there are things in this periodic table that we don't ingest. Helium is there's not a lot of helium in the world, and we don't run around sucking helium into our body. Boron is right up there with helium. Boric acid, we don't want that in our body. Most of you know that fluorine or fluoride is bad for you. It's killing us. In fact, that's why they put it in our water. It's poison. They're trying to kill you. Well, another thing that they put in water is chlorine. Chlorine is bleach. It's poison, friends. It's also called chloride. And table salt, and it doesn't matter if it's table salt or Himalayan, pink salt or whatever, it's exactly the same thing. This is a complete lie that people are saying, oh, let's go out and get the Himalayan salt. It's better for you. Let me tell you something. The only way they can say it's better for you is simply because, maybe it's not processed as much. But here's the deal. Would you rather take processed poison? Processed rat poison? Strychnine? Or just regular strychnine, right? Straight from the ground. Both of them will kill you dead. And chloride, sodium chloride, that's what it is. It's got about 40% sodium, 60% chloride, and the rest of it is just trace minerals. And it's exactly the same thing whether you're eating, because see, table salt is sea salt. That's what it is. It comes from the sea. It's when the sea dries up and they get, it's sea salt. Himalayan sea salt is the same thing. Like I said, the only difference is that it's not processed and refined as much. But both of them are poison. He said, wait a minute, Dave. The scientists say that we're supposed to get 2,000 milligrams of sodium every day in our diet. Well, they're lying to you, friends. You know how I can prove it to you? Go get you one of these things that you're supposed to eat. You ever heard of those things? They're called food. It's called fruit, nuts, berries. That's what we're supposed to eat, seeds. And scientists have diced it all up and took a look, and they said, all right, peaches, plums, nuts, bananas, coconuts, whatever, they don't have salt. There is no sodium in there, just only a trace amount. There's not only trace amounts of fluoride and chlorine and small trace amounts of boron or some neon or you don't eat those things. Not in any measure whatsoever. You only need very small trace amounts of sodium in your body. And if you get any more, then it's going to be a poison. And I'll prove this all to you. And I'm going to, friends, go get you some salt and pour it on your grass. Just get you a pint of salt and pour it all over your grass and see what happens. Table salt. Get you some Himalayan salt if you think that's better. Pour it on your grass and see what happens. Your grass will just die. And nothing will grow there almost ever again. For years, nothing will grow there. You get the salt, sodium chloride into the ground, and living things will die. And I'm going to explain to you why that is, but you shouldn't need to know why. You should just say, man, I'm going to stay away from that stuff. However, sulfur, potassium, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc, these are things your body needs very much. The number one thing your body needs is potassium, but it doesn't need sodium. Almost all the fruits have hundreds of milligrams of potassium in every fruit, in every serving. And no salt, except for maybe some trace element, just a little bit. Well, there's a couple of things, like people say, wait a minute, olives have salt. Olives are soaked in brine and salt. They soak them in salt. Asparagus has salt, and Brussels sprouts has a little salt. I mean, there are some vegetables that are roots or stems, or they're not fruit. They don't grow on the plant. You pick them off. Now, you see, this is why we don't eat roots, because roots have nitrogen, they have sodium, chloride, fluoride. They have a lot of things that's just poison. Now, when you're an adult, you can take a little of that. You could take a lot of salt that you really shouldn't be eating. But what's happening is the salt, or the sodium chloride, is slowly just killing you. It's sucking. Here's what it is. You see, remember, helium floats upward. So everything up on the top of the periodic table is, that part of the table is ether. It goes from ether, where helium is, the sun, and it goes down to air, and then it goes down to water, and then to earth. The four elements, well, there's 5 elements, counting ether. And this is what the elements are in astrology. And then you can break those elements up into 100 different elements. And they join together and make compounds. So this is why you got sodium chloride. It's just sodium and chloride, and they've made a compound, and we call it table salt. It's very harmful for you. But salt, or sodium, is way up there, like number 8 out of the 100. So it's way up at the top. So it corresponds somewhere up here in your head. Well, it's Sol, so it's the sun. And the sun's very high. And the sun will burn you up. You don't want to get close to it. But it pulls the other planets, the magnets. That remember we said the 7 planets are like magnets, and they pull in form. the minerals, the elements. But way up there, helium is just floating way up there. It's pulling everything. It's like with attrition. This is what gravity is. It's the vibrations and the numbers. And everything stems from the 3. And then you get the 7 colors from the 3 colors. And the 3 colors from the 1 color, which is white. Everything comes from the top. And as you get further and further down, you get more elements going around, more electrons, and it gets more dense. And so you got gold and lead all the way down here at the bottom, and plutonium. But all the way up here, you got helium, the sun. So everything follows the sun. The planets follow the sun, and they go through the universe. So if you've got hard water, there's a lot of minerals in there in your water, and you want to get them out, you put soul in there. You put the chief element. And the best thing you can do is put sodium in your water, and it'll pull all the minerals right out. It'll just suck them right out. It's gravity. See, it's attrition. This is why the top of your head is helium, and it pulls all the minerals up through your body. This is why your body functions the way it does. But there are some of those elements you don't want in your body. But if you want to get rid of the thing you really need, potassium, if you want to get rid of it and dry up like you put salt on meat and it preserves it. It just sucks everything right out of it, and it just dries up and dies. It sucks the water out. That's why people that take too much salt, they start getting water retention. And with the water retention, you're going to the bathroom and getting the water out, and it's just dumping all your minerals right out. Your potassium, your sulfur, all the stuff that you need to live is just right out your body. So you need hundreds of milligrams of potassium and almost no salt. You don't need to take any salt through your mouth. You get plenty of salt just in trace amounts in your food. The only thing you should ever be putting into your mouth is food, friends. And if you think you're going to go out and get these 12 cell salts and find your special salt and start taking it, one of these supposed cell salts that they're advocating that you should go out and take in great numbers is sodium chloride, friends. I don't remember. I think they're saying that they got some crazy scheme of the top one is phosphate, potassium phosphate or something. Where's the rhyme and reason? The top of the periodic table is stuff like helium and stuff like that. Then sodium's at the top, and they got sodium all the way at the bottom. Sodium chloride at the bottom, but sodium chloride is not something we're supposed to have in our body. All the minerals have to be in our body, but some of these minerals are just in little trace amounts. Your body itself functions on potassium. Without that, in great numbers, you're going to just dry up and die by the time you're 70 years old. Yeah, that's why we only live to be 70, because since time immemorable, from the beginning, since Adam left the garden, Satan's been trying to keep his cattle, ignorant. Keep them down. We don't want to open these chakras. You'll learn light and wisdom and truth, and you'll know that you're not a cattle anymore. So he's trying to keep us so that he keep his slaves living a very short time, so they never learn, so they never get old enough to actually start learning something, because then his whole scam's, it's over. If we ever learn this information, he's poisoning us and telling us, put sodium chloride all over your food. Here, give them some rat poison and tell them to put that on their food every time. Oh, that's good. I know you like it, because you see, whenever you start to die, anything that goes into your body that makes you die, your body becomes addicted to it, because it's killing you, and it's releasing you from your body. As your spirit is released from your body, you get euphoria. But see, that's not what we want. We don't want to die. So the sodium chloride is poisoning you, and it's giving you euphoria, and you want it, you crave it, but it's killing you. So according to this, you've got chloride and fluorine. One of them's fluoride, one of them's chloride, one of them's sodium. All of these things are poison. Don't take these things. As I said before, roots are not healthy for you because they're in connection with the ground. There's nitrogen in the ground, a lot of nitrogen. Nitrogen's good for something, but it's not good for us to eat. to have in our body in any amount, because nitrogen is basically something that breaks things down. It decomposes things. So the soil has nitrogen, and you can, it's made with bacteria breaking things down, and it's releasing ammonia and stuff. You don't want that. This is why if a baby eats spinach, which is a leaf, not a fruit, there's too much nitrogen in that spinach, and the baby will die. That's why Gerber has to take the nitrogen out before they sell it to you. Now, when you're an adult, you can handle spinach, but you're just dying. You're getting old. You're aging. You're sucking all the minerals out of your body. The sulfur, the selenium, the potassium, which is youth. It keeps your heart running and keeps the oil all over throughout your body running, because the oil comes up through the spine, through the spinal fluid, comes up here, and then replenishes your whole body. But if you got salt, 2,000 milligrams of salt every day, like most people get, or 3 or 4 or 5,000 milligrams, just whoop, sucking all that potassium, all that life right out of your body. The water just goes right through, and you just shrivel up and die. Just like when you put salt or chlorine or fluoride or nitrogen or anything else on the grass. Now, sure, they put nitrogen in fertilizer, but they didn't used to, because it's not really good to do that. In fact, it's causing a lot of problems. They've been doing it because, these guys are crazy. But it breaks down the soil and somehow helps their crops to grow bigger for a while. Some sort of unnatural thing, because it's not normal to dump nitrogen all over the soil. Because normal fertilizer is potash, which is potassium, lime, which is calcium, sulfur, phosphorus. Those are the main things. Small amounts of magnesium and zinc. Those are the main things that your body needs in an abundance. You don't need a lot of gold and silver and tin and these heavy metals. You don't need a lot of these. You don't need helium. You don't eat food that's got helium in it. Or, you need a lot of oxygen. Now, the air has got 78% of the air is nitrogen. But you see, it's so poisoned that our Father in heaven has created our lungs so that nitrogen cannot get into your body. It cannot get into your body. In fact, if you could breathe nitrogen, boom, you'd be dead in about 5 seconds. That's it, you'd be gone. So your body only allows the oxygen into your lungs, into your body. The only way you can get any nitrogen into your body at all is if you eat it. And you don't really want to do that, because the soil has the nitrogen only to break down everything so that things can start growing from the death. The seed breaks down and germinates, and then it creates ammonia and opens it up, and then it starts to grow. But the roots have too much nitrogen, too much salt. Potatoes are a great food because they have a lot of potassium. Lots of potassium, just like any fruit. But since potatoes are grown in the ground, they do have a little bit of salt, and so they're not as good as some fruits and nuts and things that you would eat. But because they have so much potassium, they're actually a very good thing to eat. They have a lot of sulfur and good things that you need. Did you know that coffee has a lot of potassium? Very little salt, just trace amounts of salt, but lots of potassium and sulfur. And this is why coffee is actually so good for you. It'll actually make you feel young. It won't age you, because it's got the proper amount of potassium, just like any other good food. And green tea and stuff like that, they're good for you. And they will cleanse and they will help you. But everybody needs these same 7 minerals that our body thrives on, and all the minerals in between in their trace amounts. So now you want your garden to grow. What do? Well, like I said, you put fertilizer on it. Fertilizer is sulfur, potash, potassium, lime, calcium, and phosphorus, mainly. Those are and sometimes they put a little magnesium and other minerals, but that's what you need to thrive. So if you're eating eggs, it has sulfur and it has all these things that you need. You're going to thrive. You ever notice when you give a dog eggs, it makes his coat shine, his nails hard? Makes you young. Makes you look beautiful and young. So you need beans. It has a lot of sulfur and a lot of potassium. You need seeds. You need barley. You need chia seeds, peanuts, almonds. All the foods that our Father in heaven made. You always want to eat a whole food. See, even if... Take a look at sugar, for instance. Sugar is something that's absolutely necessary for the body. Absolutely necessary. It's energy. And people are talking about how, well, you've got to have protein. See, protein has nitrogen, has salt, has chlorine and fluoride and all these other things that's found in meat. You don't need that. There's no potassium in there. That's unhealthy. It's making you acidic. See, this is why calcium is alkali. And it's called kali or alkali. Lime or alkali. This is what you need to keep your body alkaline. If you get acidic, you're going to die. Boric acid, fluorine chloride, very acidic. Sodium chloride will kill you fast. So, fertilizer makes things grow. Even if you were eating a good diet and you had a good constitution, getting lots of exercise and mental stimulation, and you thought, man, I'm eating all kinds of good food and fruits and, I'm eating good, you'd still die at about 70 or 80 years old if you keep dumping sodium chloride all over your food. Let me explain something to you. You should never take anything that's not in the form of food. Recently, they've done some studies and they found out that calcium is causing people to get cancer. It's very harmful to your body. Number one, calcium, grinding up some rocks or some shells and, coral calcium, you cannot absorb calcium from rocks and shells and coral. This is not food grade calcium like you get in milk or broccoli. Small ionic size calcium that can be absorbed into your body. So number one, it can't be absorbed because it's not ionic. Number two, not food grade. Number two, you cannot absorb calcium into your body without phosphorus, sulfur, magnesium, zinc, and potassium. All of them have to be in one whole complete thing. We call that food. It's called fruit, nuts, and fruit and seeds, anything that grows on a plant. Every food has basically the same ingredients. Several hundred milligrams of potassium, 50 to 100 milligrams of sulfur, phosphorus, 50 milligrams of calcium, and then smaller amounts of magnesium and zinc, and then trace amounts of all the rest of it. But there is no sodium or nitrates or chlorines or fluorines. See, they're putting this fluoride in your water to kill you, to poison you. They're telling you to dump this sodium chloride all over your... The national RFD, whatever they call this thing, the SDA or whatever, is coming out with recommendations that you should get 2,000 or more milligrams of sodium in your diet every day, and they're just flat lying to you. If you needed that much milligrams of sodium, don't you think the food that our Father in heaven created would have it in there? So somehow or another, food is not going to be healthy. You're going to have to supplement your food with some poison in order to be healthy, according to the FDA. Well, they're lying to you, friends. Just like they're telling you there's nothing wrong with the fluoride in your water. Yeah, go get some bleach and drink it. You know what happens? Chlorine and fluoride will go into your... It's a disinfectant, for one, so it kills all your immune system. It just destroys your immunity to anything. And then what happens? Candida starts taking over. Not only that, you're eating yeast in your bread. That's all you eat is bread. Yeast bread. And then on top of that, you're eating all this refined sugar, which is just feeding the yeast. And then stripping your entire gut out with fluoride, sodium chloride. It is going to kill you fast. You won't live past 70 if you do this, friends. But if you stop the sodium chloride, if you start eating whole foods, raw, because you need the bacteria and the enzymes. Now, you can cook some things like beans, a lot of sulfur and good stuff in beans. You can have some things because you can't always eat raw fruits and vegetables, but you need to eat a lot of raw food. A lot, because you've got to get the enzymes, you've got to get the bacteria to build your immune system. And for sure, don't put chlorine in your gut, or fluoride, sodium chloride, just table salt. Don't put that into your gut at all. So, remember then, you've got this periodic table, and it starts with helium, and it goes down, and you got sodium, and chloride, and fluorine, all up here in the top. And then you start getting the heavier metals. Well, if you got too much of this heavier metals, then why would you get too many? Nobody's, downing a bunch of gold and stuff. Well, humans were for a long time taking aluminum pans and making their coffee, and they would get too much aluminum, or copper, or tin. So you don't want to do that because you get way too much tin. And if you get too much mercury because they put fillings in your teeth or something, that's something that can poison you. This is why if you eat regular food, which is all this potassium, then it sort of keeps you living and vibrant and healthy, and it'll flush right out of your system. But if you eat salt and chlorine and fluoride, it'll ruin your immune system. It'll pull all the minerals that you need, like potassium and calcium and everything, out of your body. And when your body doesn't have enough calcium, it starts attacking your bones. So this is why people are dying. Young people now are getting autoimmune deficiencies just right and left. They got leukemia. They got arthritis is an autoimmune deficiency. It's just inflammation. It's not a disease. It's just a lack of minerals and stuff in your body. And if you go out and you start buying minerals, you can't do that. You can't take calcium by itself. You've got to have the whole thing. You can't take even if you needed sodium, you wouldn't take it by itself. You wouldn't pour it on your food like that. You only eat the food as a whole food. And then the sugar is absorbed into the fiber and it's administered to your body correctly. And it has the sulfur, the phosphorus, all the stuff that you need works as a whole to nourish your body. Your body has to have lots of fat. We don't eat enough. You can't just eat bananas and oranges, just fruit. That's only something that grows in the summertime. During the winter, you need lots of nuts and seeds where it's got fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids. Your body can get energy from oil or sugar, but your body have to have energy one way or the other. If you take oil, what is that? Well, you can make a lamp with oil. It burns, right? It's oil. It's gas. So you need that energy. Or you can use sugar. Sugar is fermented into gasoline, right? That's where you make alcohol with sugar, right? So your body will get its energy from alcohol that it produces itself with the sugar, or it'll use the oil. Preferably, you need more oil than you do sugar. You shouldn't be taking all this sugar. You shouldn't be drinking orange juice and apples and stuff like that. In nature, we're only supposed to eat fruit whole. They didn't have processors back in Adam's day, friends. So if you're drinking orange juice, just like drinking soda, it's too much sugar. There's no fiber to absorb it. And you wouldn't just drink oil either, but you need food that has lots of oil because oil is life. Those fatty acids go throughout your entire body, trigger processes in your liver and in your kidneys and in your lower gut to send bile up to the liver. And then to make hormones, which is life, which gives you life and opens up the chakras. Each of these chakras will be opened up primarily because you are living healthy. Because think about it, if you're drying up and remember, each one of these chakras is a mineral. They go from the top, helium, all the way down to the hardest solid metals, to the earth, from ether all the way down to the kingdom of Malkuth, which is the ground, the earth. And so every one of the minerals in its proportion exact is what you need. If you get anything out of balance, you're going to get sick. And the only way you can do that is to eat food, friends. Real, natural food. That's it. There is no other way, period. So this is how astrology teaches us health. It teaches us that the 7 minerals correspond to the 7 planets, the 7 notes, the 7 colors, all comes from 3. Let me give you a little quick thing here. Just take a look at the word 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Well, let's start with 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 and 4 is 5. So now you got 7 and 5. 7 times 3 is 21, and now 2 and 1 is 3. So you get 7 and 5 and 3. And if you keep doing that, you're going to get every number. It never repeats itself. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All possibilities, 10, come from 7. And the 7 comes from the 3. Now, 9, if you times anything, 9 times 9 times, 9 times 3, 9 times 5, anything to do with 9 always adds up to 9. Okay, nothing is manifested. The complete whole is not manifested from 9. 9 is judgment. It's very strict. And everything adds back up to 9. Because 9 is judgment. Now, why is there 9 hells? Well, if you start, hell is down, right? The descent. You start at the top of the circle to go down. There's 6 on this side, there's 6 on that side. So you go down 6 degrees, you're still down here in hell. You get 3 more degrees before you can get out of hell, out the horizon and go to the top. So there's 6 and 3, which makes 9. However, 7 is heaven. There's 7 heavens because we have 12 houses in our body. And so from the very bottom of your feet, because you go like an embryo around the 12 astrological signs. Your body goes all the way around. Pisces is the feet. Aries is the head. You go all the way around. The very bottom at your feet is the solid iron, stuff like that. Top of your head is helium, the sun. So you have 7 heavens. Now why would that be? Well, there are 12 signs in the zodiac. And 7 and 5 make 12. So the 5 are the base, the lower, right down at the base of your spine. There's a little thing called the sacrum, and it has 5 vertebrae. And that represents the 5 books of Torah, or the carnal laws, and the 5 senses. And this is the sub below. And the 7 on top are the 7 chakras that go up to the top of your head. And so each one of those 7 added to the 5 makes the 12. But 7 will manifest everything because everything comes from the 7. So see, 10 is the same thing. It's similar to 7 because 7 is in the 10. And the 3 and the 7 make 10. And the 7 are manifested from the 3. And the 3 from the 1. But 10 manifests everything as well. It's the complete whole that manifests the universe. So 10 times 1 is 10, and that's 1. 10 times 2 is 20, and that's 2. 2 and 0 is 2. 10 times 3 is 30, and that's 3 and 0 is 3, so that's 3. So you can go through all the variables. 10 manifests everything in the universe, just as 7 does. 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4, all the way up to 9. It manifests all the numbers from 1 to 9. Actually, from 1 to 10. And then 9, as we said, times anything always comes back to 9. It does not manifest anything. It does not reach into the heavenly manifestations of joy and love and truth and all the variables of life. But it stays down there in judgment. So the numbers are a very beautiful thing, and everything is manifested from these numbers. It's a language, and this is why it has to be complete. See, you're just not complete if you don't have all the minerals. And there isn't any way to be complete unless you eat your food. Food that's provided for you by our Father in heaven. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there, friends, and I hope that was helpful to many of you. And we're going to continue to carry on in this avenue of thought next in the next video. So here's David Vos, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good day.